With Sunny Tangerine Stock, and today I wanted to do a quick tutorial on saving your work after you have used a mock-up to add your work to it. So I'm just going to quickly add some artwork to this, and then I'm going to show you how I will save it 3 different ways actually, so that I don't get rid of the original mock-up so I can use it over and over and over again. But then I am going to show you how I save my work as a layered PSD file, and then I will save it as a full-size JPEG, and then I'm going to save it as a web-size JPEG also. So let's get started. I'm going to go to my file up here, and I am going to place embedded, and I'm going to find the artwork that I want to use, which is going to be just a pretty little watercolor bouquet. I'm going to size it down, and I'm going to place it where I want it on this card. Going to turn it ever so slightly and enter that. Then, since it fits nicely inside of here, and I don't need to change the blending mode at all on this one, I can change it to multiply, but since this was a PNG, it looks better. The whites come out brighter, to just keep it normal. There's no background to it that needs to be disappeared. So you can take down the opacity ever so slightly if it just looks too bright, but, I like it. I'll just keep it at like 96% and just call it a day. So now what I'm going to do is if I wanted to add some text to this, say like over here, if I wanted to say, oh, I'm having a sale on my, new watercolor bouquet set or something like that, then I would add my text over here, and I will just, write like new artwork on sale. Add your, make your font look like whatever you want it to look like. And, whoops. Just 1 minute. There you go. Do this. Oh goodness, sorry you guys, I'm like really crowded here on my desktop, so I'm trying to, and I'm using my mouse because my pen tablet keeps messing up on me. I don't know what's happening with it, but let's just say I want to do this, okay? But because I want to maybe use this over and over again, and I want to maybe change out my text message or something like that, I'm going to save this whole thing as a layered PSD file. So I'm going to go up here to File, and I'm going to Save As, and it's going to automatically want to save it as a Photoshop format. And so I'm going to call it Clip Card 3 Bouquet, or I'm going to say like Watercolor Bouquet 1. And it's going to be a PSD file, and then maybe I'm going to want to save it on my desktop. Okay, so I'm going to add it here, and I'm going to click Save. So usually it'll show up here if it's taking a minute what percentage is saved, and it seems like it's all saved right now. So now I can go back and I can delete this if I want, and then I can but say I just want to save this and I want to use this in my social media or on my website or on my blog or something like that, and say it's just a teeny tiny bit too big. What I'm going to do is flatten this. Once I know that I've already saved it as a PSD file, so I can come back anytime I want to and redo it, change the picture out or whatever I want to do. I'm going to go ahead and flatten it. And at this point, I can save this as a JPEG if I want. I'm going to crop it just a little bit because it's already set at an 8 by 10 ratio, but I'm going to kind of want to make it just a tiny bit tighter. I still like having this little bit of open space over here, but just for the tutorial's sake, I'm just going to go ahead and click and save it like that. Now, if you come up here to image and you scroll down to image size, this is going to tell you what size your image is right now. And it's a really good size. This is a good, this is sized for printing professionally. You could get probably a good 16 by 20 at this, printed with a lab. But anyway, this is what I'm going to save as my original good JPEG file. So I'm going to go again up to file. Save as, and then I'm going to say watercolor bouquet, but I'm going to come right here to the format and I'm going to do the scroll down to JPEG. You'll see that you can save it as a PNG, you can save it as a JPEG, you can save it as a BMP. I don't do any of that stuff unless it's something with a clear background. That's when I save a PNG. But I'm going to save this as a JPEG. And again, I'm going to put it on my desktop, or you can put it in whatever folder you want it to go in and hit save. And so I do the maximum size, whatever the quality is there, and hit OK. Now, if I'm going to use this on social media, these files are really big at 300 DPI and 4,000 pixels. That's a really big size. So what I like to do is resize it for the web. And it doesn't really take up that much more room on your computer, but it's just helpful when you want to go do, if you have an Etsy shop and you want to use it as a thumbnail and you don't want anybody to lift it and print it, say you're just showing your watercolor bouquet and you don't want anybody to take it and use it. I mean, it's not as rampant as it used to be, but it's still something that you need to consider being an artist. So I always save mine as a web size so that it's too pixelated if you try to blow it up, and you can't really print anything bigger than like a 4x6. So for me, I still do this. It's just habit and it's easy. And what happens is when you go to load it up to Instagram or Facebook or your website or whatever, it loads much quicker because it's a smaller file. And because it's smaller, it's more condensed and it looks sharper online. So a lot of times too, when I am showing my work that I have done with a photo shoot of people, I give them on their disc the print size, which is this big size that I've got right here, and then I give them a web size. And that usually would have maybe my watermark on it for just sort of advertising, but I tell them this is what you need to put up on Facebook because it's going to load much quicker. If you are trying to put up 4 or 5 pictures on Facebook and they're full size 300 DPI images, oh, you are going to be there for a few minutes. Sometimes, I mean, if you have a super fast computer with tons of memory, you go do what you want. But if somebody right click saves it, they can print it as big as they want and do whatever they want with it. So choice is yours. Anyway, so I'm going to come up here to image and I am going to click image size. And what I'm just going to go ahead and do is the resolution down to 72. And that automatically changes the width and the height for me. So, at this point, because it's a mock-up and my artwork, let's say, isn't super huge, but see how nice and sharp it is still? I mean, it's still got a good quality on here. And this resample is preserving the details for enlargement, but it looks great. So it's going to look good to the average person's eye because it's going to be shown smaller. So this is what I do. You can make it 950, you can make it 800, you can make it 850, but I wouldn't go much lower than 800 for the width, So even if it was a vertical picture, I would still kind of keep it at 800 width because it just looks better. You could go a little less, but I would keep it around there. Anyway, so I'm going to click OK, and it's going to resize it. Now, if I hit 100% right here, it's going to show me what it looks. That's as big. That is 100% how it looks. And if I zoom in more, you see how it starts getting pixelated. So this is 300% here. Whoops. I'm going to hold Option, and it's going to go smaller. So 200%, it's a little pixelated. So it's not really going to behoove anybody to take this and, I'm sorry, you guys. Anyway, okay, so that's how I'm going to, and then what I'm going to do is so after I resize it, I go up here to file, I'm going to go to save as, and it's going to come back up as a JPEG because that was the last way I saved it. And I'm going to click right behind the one, and I'm just going to type in web. And that's what I do, and I save it still as a JPEG, and I'm saving it right here to my desktop. So now I have 3 files. Okay, so when I close this and I go back out to my desktop, oh, sorry, you guys. But anyway, I have my watercolor bouquet one, I have the PSD, I have the JPEG, and I have the web size. So now if I click on the PSD file, it's going to open it all right back up again, and it's going to have everything right back where I started from. And the original clipboard 3 or whatever mock-up that I used has been totally untouched. It's completely fine because I changed the name of the file. Once you change the name of the file and you save it as a new file, you're good to go. And you didn't do anything that you're damage free to the original file. So you can use that over and over again too. But you can still just come back in here and delete those 2 things. And you can start from scratch if you wanted to this way, but you have to save as and change the name, and that is the key to saving your artwork as its own original files. Okay, so if you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment. I'll get to them as I can. You can find me also at Sunny Tangerine Stock on Instagram, and you can DM me there if you have any questions too. And I hope you all have a great day. It's actually Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day. And I will be back soon. Thanks.